Hey everyone, this is Dr. Bainton again for Linkages 2, the next generation. So in this video I'm just going to create the actual linkage assembly to show you how everything kind of goes together. So I'm just going to remind you on the last few things. I have this point here, my A pivot part, my fixed base, my short link, and my long link. Now, for reference, I still have my linkage sketch. However, I'm probably not going to use it too much other than for verification. Now, there's a little bit of a weird thing that's going to happen, and you'll see it in a second, but that's not really an important feature just yet. So what I want to emphasize is it's super, super important that you import these pieces in the right order. It's not really a problem if you don't, but you could get confused. So I'm going to go to File, New, Assembly. For those of you who don't know, an assembly is essentially the collection of parts that you're putting together, and you're going to see how they interact with each other. All right, so I'm going to Assembly. I'm waiting for my computer to actually respond. All right, great. Now, the first thing I'm going to put, and this is super important because otherwise confusion could happen, is the fixed base. The reason for that is that SolidWorks, whenever you make a new assembly, the first thing that you import is always going to be fixed. You can change that by right-clicking and clicking on Float, but I don't want to do that just yet because it actually doesn't matter too much. So again, I'm going to go back to Assembly, and I'm going to go to Insert Components. And now I'm going to put in everything that wasn't that fixed base. And I guess I don't need the linkage sketch either. So I'm going to put my long link in. I'm going to insert components. I'm going to put my short link in. And then I'm going to go to Insert Component, and I'm going to put in a pivot part. You could have called it whatever you wanted to call it. But remember, these in the last video you had to have saved all of these links themselves so that you can import them into this assembly. Now, remembering that this fixed base, the closer pivot point corresponds to the shorter link, and the further pivot point corresponds to the longer link. And so I'm going to consider this portion here the closer area, and that portion there the further area, just because of where it happened to have put A in the first place, but ultimately it doesn't really matter too much. So I'm going to go ahead and start mating my components together so that they become fixed in some particular way relative to each other. So I'm going to click on the Assembly tab and the Mate button. The first mate I'm going to do are concentric mates, and I want to be very, very clear that I'm clicking on the inside surface of these holes that I've created. I do not want to click on the edges here. It will probably turn out to be fine if I clicked on those edges there, but it is generally good practice to click on the inside surfaces. So I'm going to click on the inside surface of that hole, and I know that it needs to get fixed to the inside surface of that hole as well. And so that's my first link. I pressed Enter on there. My second link is going to be on my long bar to the opposite side of my fixed bar, or my fixed base. Okay, now I have both of these links done. Next I'm going to do is I remember the short link corresponds with my bottom part of my A. I can go back and check. So here's my fixed bar, there's my short bar there, and that goes to the bottom corner of my A. And the long bar goes to my top corner of my A. And so I'm going to go ahead, click on the bottom corner of my A circle, and not there, but over here. And then the top circle for my long bar. And so now you can see that I've already created this strange geometry. And we're almost there in terms of our linkages. However, you can see that my A does not like being locked in the plane. And so I'm going to do a couple of things just to fix that. So I'm going to click on this bar, and I'm going to drag it away a bit, and I click on that bar, and I'm going to drag it away a bit. Now you can see this whole thing looks very, very spooky, like some form of ghost type action is happening. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to surface mate these links with each other. So the larger bar, I'm going to click on that side of the larger bar, and I'm going to go to the other side of my fixed bar, and I'm going to mate them together so they are flush up against each other. I'm going to do the same thing with that bar there and this bar here. And so now you can see that there's a gap between the two. And what is that gap going to be filled by? Of course, this A. Now you can see that I've actually created the linkage that I really wanted. So I'm starting off something like that. So if I look at what my link is supposed to look like, my fixed bar has some strange angle this way, and so I'm going to look at it like that. So here's where my A starts with, and then it pivots through, and it moves upwards like that. And now I have my linkage. So again, down, up, then down, then up. If you accidentally imported them in the wrong order, then different things will be floating and different things will be fixed. So let's say that I accidentally imported this short bar first instead, so I can't actually move it. Now you're going to see like some weird linkage type of behavior that doesn't really make any sense. And so you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that everything else is floating. You want to right click on all the parts, make sure they're floating, and then you're going to right click on the fixed bar, which is this one here, and make sure that that one is fixed. Once you made sure that that one is fixed, everything is great, and you have your whole linkage assembly working properly. Pass the change point condition, there we go. And this is the linkage. All right, that is that.